Another top 100 cities in America list and another top spot for Overland Park. Take a look at this article. It says Overland Park ranked 7th because of its sport venues, food, entertainment, parks, job opportunities, and some of the top categories that were evaluated were its economy, education, and transportation. Now, on this channel, we've made a ton of videos about Overland Park. We've almost over-covered it. And recently, we made a video about South Overland Park, about how that's where all of the development is headed. It's kind of like the final frontier of the entire city. All the new homes are there, and I anticipate a lot of retail, commercial, shops, restaurants, etc. are probably headed there in the next 5 years. We've also covered North Overland Park, the more historic part of the town where you've got downtown Overland Park, some older homes, and some of the most reasonable prices for homes in the entire city. The last one that we're going to cover on this video is Central Overland Park. And Central Overland Park is a little bit different than North and South Overland Park because it's kind of like the central hub of Overland Park. Some of those things that catapulted Overland Park to the top of the list, the food, entertainment, education, the sports venues, etc. Some of those things are pretty much concentrated in Central Overland Park. So we're going to break down everything that you need to know about them in this video. And if you stay until the end, we'll also break down Central Overland Park's top areas and neighborhoods. Part number 1 is all about the location. What in the world do we mean when we say North versus Central versus South Overland Park? Well, I put together this, it's a travesty is what it is, but I think it proves what I'm trying to say. So North Overland Park stops at I-435. That's basically the highway that cuts horizontally across Johnson County. It's also important because that's the boundary for the Blue Valley School District. So totally different schools in North Overland Park compared to Central and South Overland Park. We'll touch on that here in just a second. So Central Overland Park basically goes to 151st Street, and then South Overland Park, nobody knows where it ends because it's been annexing little townships and communities south of it for quite some time now. So it could look totally different, but that's where all of the development currently is and where it's probably headed and will stay over the next 10 years or so. But one of the beauties here is that you've got under one city several different little like micro suburbs, totally different feel, a lot of variety across each different part of the city. And Central Overland Park, kind of like we touched on in the intro, definitely feels like the hub. That's where some of the best shops and restaurants, some of the best sports venues can be found, and a lot of them can be narrowed down right along 135th Street. So just to name a few, you've got Prairie Fire, which is kind of a little shopping mall right there. You've got the museum, which looks beautiful from the outside. You've of course got some pickleball at Chicken and Pickle. And then basically all up and down that street, you've got tons of stuff. You've got Snooze, which is a breakfast place. You've got another Broken Egg, which is another breakfast place that happens to be expanding across Johnson County. Just pretty much anything that you could possibly think of is like right along 135th Street. And just to name a couple more, you've got the Nicholas Golf Course on one side of I-69, which cuts vertically across the city. And then you've got the St. Andrews Golf Club west of I-69. You've got Deanna Rose right there as well, which is a little farmstead, which is perfect for the kids. A lot of schools will take little field trips out there. Pretty much everybody does it when they go through the public schools. And then you've also got the Shields Overland Park Soccer Complex, which is just beautiful. Multi-million-dollar project, several fields. They're heated, so you've got play in the winter as well. They're just incredible. Part number 2 is all about the schools. And while we've already kind of touched on them, just to reiterate, 435, that highway that cuts horizontally, that's basically the boundary for Blue Valley School District. So North Overland Park definitely falls outside of that boundary. You're in the Shawnee Mission School District, really highly rated. But what makes Central Overland Park distinct, and part of what brings Overland Park as an entire city up to the top of those ratings, is that Blue Valley School District. It's nationally recognized. That's what kind of lures a lot of people to Overland Park. So just to prove this, you've got a map right here. You can see all of the ratings for the individual little schools there. Basically A plus. Keep looking, but you're not going to find anything below an A, which is just crazy. Now, it is a big school district. I believe it's probably one of the biggest ones in the entire Johnson County area, and it's expanding as we speak because some of those elementary schools are at capacity. You've got about 5 high schools. They're building a new elementary school every few years just to keep up with all the demand. Now, that's all for the public schools. You've also got just a gem. You've got Johnson County Community College, which is just fantastic. It's one of the best community colleges in the entire state of Kansas. It also, when KU wouldn't let me take as many classes as I wanted to, they let me enroll full-time there as well, so it helped me graduate a little bit early. It's also very easy to transfer the less expensive credits from Johnson County over to a larger college like a University of Kansas. You pay less, they're easier to to get done, and you can do most of them online. So one of my biggest regrets is not doing as many of these as I could when I was in high school. And the Blue Valley District, they'll offer a lot of college credit classes, which is just icing on top of the cake. So last school that I want to touch on is St. Thomas Aquinas. It's a highly rated Catholic high school in the area, happens to be one of the best, tremendous reviews, and it's right there next to Johnson County Community College. Now, before we get to the final part of this video, the cost of living, the home prices, some of the best and most popular neighborhoods in Overland Park, make sure if you're enjoying the video so far, do me a favor and hit that like button below. Just helps us get this video out in front of other people who are looking for this information. And of course, if you're thinking of buying a home and you're doing your research and we're headed in that direction, if you think we'd be a good fit, if you think we get along and we see eye to eye, then make sure send me a message, email, text, give me a phone call. All that stuff is in the description. And that way, I know these videos are a good place to start, but the real goal here is to get you specific information that's tailored to your needs, the type of home, the type of neighborhood you're looking for. So make sure to reach out and we can do exactly that. Now, the final parts of this video, we're going to start with the cost of living, because if we get that map back up on the screen, you've got North, Central, South Overland Park. Basically, top to bottom, it gets more expensive the farther south you go. And that's because the way that the city was developed, all of the new development, like we've said, is in South Overland Park. All the older homes are in North Overland Park and Central Overland Park. There are definitely some high ticket home prices in some of these different areas and subdivisions. It really is kind of Goldilocks. It's the bridge between North and South Overland Park, not just geographically, but also in terms of the home prices. So the easy way to digest all of this is basically 1950s onward. That's when North Overland Park was developed. Late 1900s, early 2000s is when Central Overland Park was developed. And then pretty much 2010 onwards is all South Overland Park. And the story is still unfolding. Final part of the video, we've got 4 neighborhoods or subdivisions that happen to be really popular. I get questions about all of these, and while they're not all of the most popular ones, I'm certainly leaving some out, so don't get too upset with me. Leave a comment down below if there's anything you think should be covered in a future video. We'll absolutely make sure to do that. Now, each of these, we're going to show the most recent sale prices, and then I'll show you either a couple homes that are currently on the market in each of these little neighborhoods, or one that recently sold if I couldn't find anything on the market. Number 1 is Nottingham Forest, and here's what the previous sale data looks like. You can see tons of different little neighborhoods and subdivisions that all fit under Nottingham. So you've got Nottingham South, you've got Nottingham Forest, Nottingham at St. Andrews, all things that we've kind of touched on so far in this video. Now, you can see the prices. 2021, we're in the upper 500,000s, and then by 2023, those prices sound a lot better than the 700,000 that we're currently stuck with. But here's an example of a home that's currently on the market. What I like about these is that usually the basements are finished because you've probably had a growing family of these homes, and they've just got a lot of frontage. You can notice the lots are just a little bit bigger, this one being about 1/3 of an acre. Inside, you've got the tall ceilings, and while some of the things will have to be updated, the bones are certainly there, and any cosmetic stuff you would want to do is definitely a lot cheaper given this price per square foot. Now, number 2 is Deer Creek. This one is a little bit closer to the eastern side of Central Overland Park, and the prices, as you can see on the chart, pretty much range from the upper 600s to basically the upper 500s. It definitely fluctuates, so that's why you're seeing that. And there's nothing on the market currently in Deer Creek, so I had to find one that recently sold. So here's what it looks like. It sold at $630,000, originally listed at $700,000, which means it probably sold sometime in March of 2023 when mortgage rates really spiked up and things were just moving a little bit slower. But you can see this one again, you've got about 5,000 square feet. You're on a pretty significantly sized lot, 4 beds, 6 baths. In the picture, the outside looks great. You've got a 3-car garage. So again, that big frontage, the front width of the property is coming into play. And that's something that's hard to find with new homes these days without going all the way up to $900,000, $1 million. Now, number 3, I'm going to have to make a whole separate video on this one because this is the one I get asked about the most. It's just beautiful, is Lionsgate. Again, several different little neighborhoods. Here's a picture of the recent sale data. You can see there are just plenty of, there's the Enclave by the parks, the links, the villas, the green, etc. This is all around the Nicholas Golf Course right there, and it was tucked right behind 135th Street. So very quick access to all of those shops and restaurants that we just broke down. And you can see the sale data, it kind of bounces around from $700,000 to $800,000. I'm going to show you 2 homes starting with this one. You can see another 3-car garage. You've got a decently sized lot that's about 1/3 of an acre. Again, 4,500 square feet. If you got a growing family, a lot of these homes have those basements finished. They're super nice. Some of them are on walkout lots. They're just beautiful. Now, here's another example of a Lionsgate home that's on a totally different end of the spectrum. There are homes that are well over 7 figures, just like this one. You'll notice this is a villa, which means you've got maintenance provided. It's about $650 a month for all of the amenities, as well as probably a little bit of exterior maintenance, including the lawn, snow removal, things like that. And as you can tell, it's about a half-acre size property. It's just beautiful on the inside, $1.6 million, but you're getting 6,300 square feet to about $250 a square foot, which is, not too bad when you compare it to like a Prairie Village, a Leawood, a Mission Hills, etc. Now, the last one that we'll spotlight in this video is Gleneages, and here's a picture of all the recent sale data. You can see the prices pretty much above 7 figures and increasing by hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year. These homes are beautiful. It's also one of the newer subdivisions in Central Overland Park. There are still homes being built there. So let me show you a couple examples. Here's the first. This was built in 2003, 7 figures flat. You've got 5,000 square feet, 4 beds, 6 baths, and you're on 1/3 of an acre. I think you're seeing a trend, some pretty significantly sized lots in this part of town. And then here's an example of the new construction that I was talking about. I really like the stucco on the front. Big fan of stucco. $1.27 million. You're at 3,700 square feet, 5 beds, 6 baths, and you're again over 1/3 of an acre. You've got that nice big frontage, and it looks like you've just got some beautiful updated finishes on the inside. And I really, really like that covered porch with the fireplace. That's beautiful. Now, like we said, those are only 4 of some of the most popular little subdivisions, neighborhoods, etc. inside of Central Overland Park. There's a lot more where that came from. One of the biggest benefits of Central Overland Park right now, when we've got a housing shortage and it's hard to find houses and they're kind of like a revolving door just flying off the shelves, is that a lot of these homes, because they were developed in the late 1900s and early 2000s, are on basically their second or third owner. Oftentimes, they're getting close to selling them because they've got to downsize because those 5,000 square foot homes, they no longer need them. The kids have left for college, or the big one nowadays is wanting to move closer to family, right? The location absolutely matters. So if that's you and you're looking to move closer to family in Central Overland Park and you're in the market to buy a home, you think we'd be a good fit, then make sure to reach out. All my contact info is down in the description. Phone call, email, text message, and we'll make sure we're getting specific information to you so we can narrow the search down to the specific subdivision, neighborhood, street, and get you a home in this crazy market. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by hitting that like button. If there are any other neighborhoods or any other specific parts of little suburbs in Johnson County that you'd like to see featured, make sure to comment those down below and I'll make sure to film a video on it, and I'll see you on the next one.